Last month my life blew up when my younger sister publicly admitted she'd faked having a severe disability for years, and no one was more shocked than my own parents. I used to think I was the lucky one. I had a sister with special needs, and I was the good big brother who helped out, stayed patient, and made all the sacrifices because, well, that's what good brothers do, right? Lily was born with mosaic Down syndrome, meaning only some of her cells had the extra chromosome. What this meant practically: she looked like she had Down syndrome, but she didn't act like it. At least not at home. Around others, though? She played the part so convincingly she should have gotten an Oscar. When we were little, I thought she was just struggling. She'd ask me to do her homework, and I'd do it. She'd cry when she didn't get the toy she wanted, and somehow I was the one in trouble for not sharing. My parents called me so mature and such a great brother, right up until the day I told Lily no. That day, I said I was too tired to help her with her homework. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just said no. Her response? She kicked the back of my knees so hard I collapsed and hit my head on the floor. Couldn't breathe for a second. When Mom finally came up the stairs, I thought she'd check if I was okay. Instead, she looked straight at me and said, "Your sister has Down syndrome, Daniel. She's going to make mistakes." Then she went downstairs and gave Lily ice cream. That was the first time I realized something was wrong, not with Lily, but with the whole damn dynamic. I lay on the floor, in pain, and still felt guilty. Like maybe I was a bad brother. But that guilt started to crack the night Lily barged into my room at 1 a.m., grinning like a villain. "You know," she said, "I calculated the exact amount of force to kick you so you'd fall but not bruise. Physics is so useful." I sat up in bed and stared at her. And that's when I knew she wasn't just playing people. She was calculating it. Deliberately. Manipulating everyone around her. And I had no idea how deep it was going to go. From that night on, I started watching her differently. Not like a concerned brother, but like someone living with a loaded weapon that only smiled when others were looking. She was smart. Like scary smart. She'd intentionally flub easy math problems in public, only to later beat my high score on an algebra game on my tablet. She played confused when teachers called on her in class but read novels faster than I could. And the manipulation? That was an art form. She knew when to look helpless. When to fumble her speech just enough to draw sympathy. She knew exactly how long to stare at people to make them uncomfortable enough to give her what she wanted. She even had a special voice she used when adults were around. But behind closed doors, that voice disappeared. So did the act. Once, we were eating watermelon together in the summer, and I gave her the best slices without a word. But I guess I chewed too loud for her royal standards because she punched me in the back of the head. No warning. Just BM. Right in the skull. "Stop eating like an effing peasant," she snapped, sounding more like Regina George than a vulnerable teen with a disability. I thought maybe this time Mom or Dad would notice, step in, say something. They did. Just not what you'd hope. "Daniel," my mom said, crouching beside her, not me. "I'm so sorry your brother doesn't have better manners. You deserve to eat in peace." She gave Lily another scoop of ice cream and turned on Keeping Up with the Kardashians while I sat on the couch with an ice pack on my head and a growing knot in my throat. You ever feel invisible while still being right there? That's what it was like day in, day out. School didn't help either. Lily and I went to the same one, and she made sure I had no peace there either. She played the bullied, misunderstood girl while whispering lies about me to anyone who'd listen. "Daniel yells at me at home," she'd say. "He makes fun of my condition." Suddenly, kids I didn't even know were giving me dirty looks in the hall. I became that guy, the cruel older brother. The whispers followed me like shadows. Except for one person, Blake. Blake's older brother had full Down syndrome. He knew what it looked like, what it really meant. And he could tell Lily's act didn't add up. He saw the bruises on my arms. The ones I claimed were from soccer or falling. He saw the empty look in my eyes, the hollow way I laughed. He didn't say much, but when he sat beside me at lunch one day and said, "You don't have to pretend," I felt something shift. I wasn't alone. For the first time in years, I had someone in my corner. And I didn't know it yet, But that single lunch with Blake would start a chain reaction that would flip everything upside down. It happened fast, like a car crash you see coming but can't stop. Blake and I were sitting in the cafeteria, laughing about something stupid, probably a meme, when Lily strutted over. Not shuffled. Not limped. She strutted. Tossed her hair like she was starring in a teen drama. Then, without warning, she plopped herself right down in Blake's lap. "Hey," she said, smiling sweetly. "Will you go out with me?" We both froze. They'd never spoken before. Not once. Blake looked like someone had just dropped a live grenade in his tray. Then, with the reflexes of a man dodging a lawsuit, he blurted, "I'm gay, girly pop," complete with a limp wrist flick that made me internally scream. Lily's face changed. Her fake smile melted into a scowl so sharp it could cut glass. She stood up slowly, turned, and walked away without a word. But I could feel it, the tension, the storm brewing behind those dark eyes. Blake muttered, "I probably shouldn't have said girly pop, huh?" I laughed. That was the last time I laughed for a while. Because that night, everything exploded. I came home to find my mom pacing the hallway, phone in hand. Her face was pale, her lips thin with fury. The second she saw me, she pointed a finger. "You are never to speak to Blake again." I blinked. "What? Why?" She didn't answer. She stormed off into the kitchen. My phone buzzed. A text from Blake, "Call me. Now." Before I could, I opened Instagram. And there it was. Stories. Posts. Comments. A wave of screenshots claiming that Blake had assaulted Lily. People were calling him a predator. A monster. A boy who took advantage of a girl with Down syndrome. I dropped my phone. Tears blurred my vision as my world tilted sideways. By the end of the week, Blake was arrested. No parole. No second chances. 1 year in juvenile detention. And Lily? She stood outside the courthouse in her soft voice and pastel sweater, crying for the cameras. Talking about how scared she was. How she trusted him. And me? I just watched. Silent. Frozen. The guilt choking me like a noose. But guilt only lasts so long. And rage? That's got stamina. For 12 months Blake sat in a cell. And for 12 months, I watched Lily closely. Took notes. Followed her patterns. Tracked her moods. The smirks. The slips. The cracks. By the time Blake got out, I had a plan. But I wasn't ready for his. Because when I picked him up from juvie, he looked at me, eyes hollow, jaw tight, and said, "No offense, but your plan probably sucks. Let's do mine." And that's when it began. Not revenge. Not yet. Just bait. Blake ghosted me the entire first week back. No texts. No glances. Not even a nod in the hallway. I started wondering if juvie had broken him, if 12 months inside had erased the guy I knew and replaced him with someone colder. Numb. But then Friday came. And I saw him. Laughing. With Lily. They were at lunch, sitting at the same table, sharing fries. She giggled at something he said and rested her head on his shoulder. My stomach did a full Olympic gymnastics routine. I stared from across the cafeteria, my sandwich forgotten. Was this part of the plan? Or had I been played by both of them? After school, I waited by his locker, heart pounding like a cheap drum. When he showed up, she was with him, hand in hand like the finale of a rom-com from hell. He saw me. And said, "Sorry. I realized some things while I was away. I'm actually straight. And Lily's amazing." I swear, the whole hallway tilted. My jaw dropped. My legs actually wobbled like some cliché soap opera moment. Lily just smirked like she'd won a championship. They walked away. Hand in hand. Leaving me staring at the locker, trying to understand how my only ally had switched sides. That night I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Could barely breathe. But around 2 a.m. something clicked. A small voice in my head whispered, "This is it. This is the plan." Blake wasn't betraying me. He was acting. And if I knew Blake like I thought I did, he wasn't just acting. He was studying her. Drawing her in. Setting the stage for her to trip over her own lies. Monday, she started talking in class, a lot. using words like quantitative and mitochondrial, and correcting the biology teacher like she had a PhD. By Wednesday, she was tutoring someone in calculus during lunch. The same girl who used to fake confusion over two-digit subtraction. And the best part? Kids started noticing. The whispering started. The raised eyebrows. The doubt. Thursday, Blake's parents picked him up from school. Lily tagged along. She smiled wide, chatting animatedly, waving her hands. But Blake's mom didn't smile back. She tilted her head like she was watching an animal do something unexpected. His dad frowned. Hard. That night, Blake finally texted me, patience. One word. That was it. And Friday? That's when Lily detonated. It started with an apple. I was sitting at my usual table, alone, chewing. Loudly. On purpose. Crunch. I knew she hated it. Crunch. She twitched. I took a bigger bite. Crunch. She stood up so fast her chair fell over. And then it happened. She marched over, grabbed the apple from my hand, and chucked it across the cafeteria. It exploded against the wall like some fruity grenade. Silence fell. Dead silence. She screamed. You think you're so clever, don't you? Chewing like that just to annoy me. Everyone was staring. I looked up calmly. I'm just eating lunch, Lily. And then she snapped. She screamed about how I'd ruined her life. How I was jealous. How she was the victim. How I couldn't handle that she was special. But her voice? It was perfect. No slurring. No confusion. Just rapid-fire rage and a vocabulary fit for a debate team captain. Phones came out. Cameras started recording. Blake, standing behind her, stepped back and said loudly, Lily, you sound different. She froze. Her face strained of color. And the whole room watched her realize what she'd just done. The act was over. And we had it on video. The video went viral in less than an hour. Not world viral, but school viral, which honestly felt just as intense. Every group chat lit up. The footage spread like wildfire, bouncing from Snapchat stories to burner TikToks and back again. Within 24 hours, everyone had seen Lily's meltdown, her articulate rant, the vocabulary bombs, the absence of any trace of disability in her speech. People didn't know what to think. Some were stunned. Others were furious. And a decent chunk still defended her. It was just stress. Someone posted. She's been through so much. Right. She had been through so much. Not the kid who'd done time for a crime he didn't commit. Not the sister who got sucker punched for chewing too loud. No, Lily was the real victim, apparently. Blake was right. One video wasn't enough. So we got to work. Or rather, he did. I kept my distance while Blake slipped back into character. Boyfriend of the misunderstood disabled girl. The two of them played their parts like pros. Public hand-holding. Soft giggles. Long glances across the quad. It was nauseating. But it worked. Lily let her guard down. Monday came, and she returned to her role, but it was off. The slurred speech? Too exaggerated. The confused glances? Delayed. Kids started side-eyeing her in class. Teachers, too. And then came Ryan. God bless Ryan, the AP Physics king. He walked right up to Lily's lunch table, holding his textbook, and said, Hey, I heard you're really good at physics. Can you help me with this force vector problem? You could hear a pin drop. Lily blinked. I'm not good at school stuff. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Really? I heard you say last week you calculated impact force. That's advanced. Her tray hit the floor before anyone could process what was happening. She burst into tears and ran from the room. But not before muttering something under her breath. Kinetic energy, she said. Loud enough for multiple people to hear. More cracks. More dots connected. Kids started whispering about other moments, times Lily used words she shouldn't know. Answered questions too fast, solved puzzles too quickly. They'd ignored it before. But now, they were watching. Teachers took notice, too. Mrs. Peterson asked Lily to read aloud in English. She fumbled, stuttering over words like because and window. But Alan, who sat right behind her, swore he saw her roll her eyes in irritation at the charade. He told everyone. By Thursday, the tide had shifted. People were no longer defending her. They were studying her, dissecting every move like scientists watching a lab rat try to escape. Friday brought an unexpected twist. The principal scheduled a school-wide assembly about inclusion and disability awareness. Probably a PR move to smooth things over. Backfired spectacularly. They talked about different types of Down syndrome. Mentioned mosaicism. Explained how it could result in no intellectual impairment at all. Every student in the room turned to look at Lily. She sat front and center. Face pale. Hands clenched. After the assembly, she cornered me in the bathroom. "You think you've won, huh?" she hissed. I calmly washed my hands. "I don't know what you mean." She stepped closer. "Blake told me. He told me everything. You planned this. You're trying to ruin me." I turned, drying my hands. "Blake and I haven't talked in weeks. You made sure of that, remember?" Her eyes twitched. Rage danced just beneath the surface. Then the door opened. Sarah walked in, Blake's cousin. New girl. Unbothered. She took one look at the scene and said, "Everything okay in here?" Lily instantly flipped into her act. Slurred her words, blinked slowly. "I'm confused. I need help getting to class." Sarah didn't blink. "Really? Because you were threatening her pretty clearly 5 seconds ago. Also, your speech was perfect when I walked in." Lily's face twisted. "Just for a moment. Just long enough." She pushed past us and stormed out. Sarah turned to me and said, "Blake's parents want to talk to you." I raised an eyebrow. "They've been watching Lily," she said. "And they've got questions." I nodded. Because the trap wasn't just working. It was closing. Blake's house was quiet when I arrived. His mom, Ruth, opened the door. She looked tired, but not the kind of tired you get from a bad night's sleep. The kind you earn when you realize your son went to jail for a lie and the girl responsible might be sitting at your dinner table tomorrow night pretending she likes your casserole. Bobby, Blake's dad, was in the living room. So was Blake, but he didn't say anything. He just gave me a small nod and went back to staring at his hands. I sat down across from them, my heart pounding like a drum solo. Ruth got right to the point. "We've been watching Lily," she said. "And something's not right." I didn't speak. Just waited. "My son, Peter, has Down syndrome. Full," she continued. "We know what it looks like. We live it every day. What Lily's been showing people. It doesn't line up." Bobby leaned forward, a folder in his hand. "We did some reading," he said. "Mosaic Down syndrome can vary, sure. But even at its most functional, it doesn't look like that. Not the way she switches on and off like a light." I nodded. Then I told them everything. The childhood moments. The physics comment. The way she bragged about never leaving bruises. Her calculated acts. The manipulation. The lies. The ice cream rewards for violence. The courtroom performance that put Blake behind bars. Ruth's eyes darkened. "That girl played the system," she said. "Played all of us." Blake finally spoke. "I wanted to expose her," he said, his voice flat. "But the only way to do that was to get close. Let her think I believed her. Let her relax. And it worked," I added. "Too well." Bobby looked down at the folder. "We're not just talking about school consequences anymore," he said. "What you did to Blake. That's perjury. That's filing a false report. That's jail time, regardless of disability." Ruth nodded. "But we have to be careful. If we come at her too hard, she'll twist it. She's done it before." That's when I realized this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about protection. We weren't trying to ruin Lily. She'd done that all on her own. We were trying to stop her from hurting someone else. So we started collecting everything. Screenshots. Video clips. Eyewitness statements from classmates. Blake's medical records. Peter's behavioral charts as a real comparison. We even found a clip from years ago of Lily speaking at a school event. Clear speech, confident tone, complex vocabulary. All while still claiming to be severely impaired. It was damning. And Lily? She handed us even more. That weekend, she posted a long Instagram rant. A candid look into her struggle with disability. It was full of hashtags, fake humility, and perfectly structured paragraphs that sounded like a Harvard essay. She deleted it within 20 minutes. Too late. Someone screenshotted it. By Monday, the whole school had seen it. Again. Parents started calling the school. Teachers asked for meetings. People wanted to know if their kids had been manipulated. If Lily had been lying all along. My mom tried to do damage control. Stormed into the principal's office like a bad episode of Dance Moms, screaming about discrimination and witch hunts. But the principal wasn't buying it. Too many people had seen too much. That afternoon, an announcement went out, mandatory parent-teacher conference. That evening, all families encouraged to attend. Blake found me in the hallway. He said, "This is it. Tonight it all comes out." I nodded, heart thudding. I went home to find my parents furious. My mom screamed herself hoarse. My dad stood silent, unsure of whose side he was on. But I didn't argue. Didn't cry. Just waited. Because at 7 p.m. in a packed school auditorium, Lily's web of lies was about to unravel in front of everyone. The auditorium was standing room only. Parents, teachers, students, even some alumni had shown up just to see the chaos unfold. The school hadn't seen this many people since the fire alarm fiasco of 2021 when a student tried to microwave a metal fork for science. But this was bigger. The principal stood at the podium, visibly sweating. His tie was crooked. His opening speech was the usual diplomatic nonsense: community, inclusion, misunderstanding, the need for calm, but no one was here for calm. The room practically vibrated with tension. Then came the questions. Alan's mom stood up first. "My son says a girl in his class is pretending to have a disability. Is the school doing anything about that?" Before the principal could respond, my mom sprang up like a jack-in-the-box on Red Bull. "This is a witch hunt," she shouted. "My daughter has Down syndrome. She's being bullied for being different." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some people nodded. Others exchanged skeptical glances. That's when Ruth, Blake's mom, rose to her feet. "With all due respect," she said, calm and cutting, "I have a son with Down syndrome. Real Down syndrome. And what your daughter has displayed doesn't match any recognized pattern of that condition." The crowd exploded. Parents started arguing. Some demanded an investigation. Others defended Lily like she was the second coming of Helen Keller. And then, Lily stood up. "Stop it," she snapped, voice shaking. "All of you, just stop." The room fell silent. She was breathing hard, like a cornered animal. Face flushed, hands trembling. But her voice? Crystal clear. "You want the truth? Fine," she said. "Yes. I have mosaic Down syndrome. Yes. I'm smart. Smarter than you think. Smarter than all of you." People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "You don't know what it's like," she continued. "To look different. To be different. People treat you like you're stupid before you even open your mouth." So yeah, I leaned into it. I played the part. Because it was easier than fighting every day just to be seen as normal. Some parents looked sympathetic. Some looked ready to throw folding chairs. My mom reached for Lily's hand, but she pulled away. "And yes, I used it to my advantage sometimes," she said, now glaring at me. "But my sister never understood. She always had everything. The normal face. The normal life. Everyone loved her. I just wanted some of that." Her voice cracked. For a moment, she looked almost human. But it was too late. The principal cleared his throat, clearly struggling to maintain order. "Regardless of motivations," he said carefully, "there are serious allegations involving false accusations against another student. Those must be addressed." Bobby, Blake's dad, stood up, holding a piece of paper. "My son spent a year in juvenile detention because of those lies," he said. "A year of his life, gone. And we have witnesses who heard Lily admit she made it up. We have evidence she's been manipulating people for years." Lily's face went bone white. "I didn't," she started. "I didn't mean." "No," Bobby said. "You meant to. And now the truth is finally out. The principal tried to calm the room, but it was too far gone. Security had to come in and break up the shouting matches. Someone cried. Someone yelled about suing the school. A folding chair might have been thrown. I can't confirm or deny. The meeting was adjourned in chaos. But the damage? Done. Lily's mask had shattered. In front of everyone. As we left, my mom was silent for the first time in years. My dad looked like he'd aged a decade. Lily refused to look at me. And for the first time ever, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel scared. I felt seen. And the fallout was just beginning. Lily didn't show up to school after the meltdown. Her Instagram story claimed she was being bullied, and forgave everyone who betrayed her. But no one was buying it anymore. The school launched a full investigation, and this time people listened. Teachers, students, even the cops, everyone started connecting the dots. Blake's year in juvie? Back under legal review. Lily? Quietly sent to live with our aunt. Until things calmed down. The silence in our house was louder than ever. My parents didn't say much, maybe because they finally realized they'd raised a storm. Blake and I got ice cream that weekend. Chocolate and vanilla. No drama. No lies. Just peace. The principal confirmed the case was closed. Lily's name wasn't said, but her record was marked. As for me? I wasn't angry anymore. Just tired. But free. She sent me a letter, an apology I didn't expect. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. I had my life back. And I was finally learning how to live it.